Green MP Golriz Garaman has a members' bill before Parliament which, among other things, would lower the voting age to 16. She joins me now. Why 16?
Well, 16 and 17-year-olds do have a right to vote pursuant to the Bill of Rights Act. So we're effectively breaching their rights in New Zealand law by preventing them from voting. But I mean, I think when you look at the rest of the way that we treat 16 and 17-year-olds, they can leave school, they can work and pay tax, they can have sex, they can drive a car. So, they're kind of participating in society in all sorts of ways. And I think, for most people, there's the line of no taxation without representation as well. But there's a myriad of reasons. And of course, over the past few years, they've shown us over and over again that they really do want to take a stake in what's happening in their world. With the climate strikes, with broadly their kind of participation in issues. So it's a bit heartbreaking that they can't vote.
But on Tuesday, the Supreme Court is hearing that case from Make It 16 because previous courts, including the Court of Appeal, have refused to make a declaration that it is in breach of the Bill of Rights. I mean, how important is some sort of legal decision for this kind of campaign?
Yeah, so the Court of Appeal did find that there was age discrimination, but it stopped short of making a formal declaration of a breach of the Bill of Rights Act, which is the distinction.
And I think it said it was really a political matter for you MPs to determine, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we do have a tradition in our system where there is that separation of powers. So courts are rightly less likely to interfere with sort of parliamentary matters and making declarations that things are in breach of the Bill of Rights Act. In circumstances like this, where it's a constitutional issue, don't often happen. But so even the finding that there was age discrimination was actually kind of a watershed moment for the Make It 16 campaign. We will hear from the Supreme Court soon, but of course, again, it will always come down to Parliament and our willingness to sort of move on this. We know the Bill of Rights Act says that they have the right to vote, but again, and you look at women's suffrage movements, we get into all of these debates about whether or not this group sort of morally deserves the vote, which I don't think is a place we should go down. I think the kind of rights-based argument should stay with, well, they are participating in society and they deserve a right to have a say in the way that their world is governed.
How confident are you that your members' bill will be referred to a select committee?
What I would really like is for the bill to go to select committee because it actually represents, and people have made the comment that it represents such a diverse range of electoral reforms. But the reason I picked those particular reforms, so there's the MMP recommendations of the Electoral Commission, there's prisoner voting, there's Make It 16, and there's the piece around political donations. These are all issues that have been around a long time. They've often gone to select committee. The Justice Committee does a review of every general election. The Electoral Commission makes recommendations. The Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the Waitangi Tribunal have all made recommendations on aspects of this bill that have been ignored. So the idea is that the public now deserves a select committee process whereby they can be heard with the guarantee that there'll then be a parliamentary debate. So it's the idea is to take party politics out of electoral reform and just kind of listen to these expert bodies for once.
But in that sense, though, wouldn't it be better just to leave it to that review that's going on, which I know is not reporting back till after the next election?
Yeah, but this, I mean, again, so if you look at something like the MMP review, that went through, and that's a 2012 one, which my bill, suggests we should adopt in whole. That had just under 4,000 members of the public have already submitted on it. The Electoral Commission conducted a really thorough review, made really specific recommendations that were then buried by the Justice Minister That was Judith Collins at the time. So these are things that have been through review processes. I really welcome the government's democracy working group. It should be looking at new issues that haven't been looked at. So, things like STV in elections, the way we can do local elections better, whether there's other ways of looking at things like that go to referenda. There are issues that haven't been looked at in New Zealand, but there are also issues that have already been to review. And I think people are going to lose heart if we do endless reviews and never actually implement the outcomes.
On the age of 16, there are critics who say, let kids be kids, they're too young to vote. And also, though, I think seems to be in the business community worries that they're more likely to vote Green. I mean,
they are more forward-thinking young people. No, and again, those are exactly the same arguments that were made against the right to vote for women, interestingly. So the idea that this is a group that shouldn't be bothered with politics, that they're going to vote a certain way that's going to be not economically minded is I think what you're getting at there. But the fact is that young people are an actually very diverse group of people, and they're engaged in issues that are impacting their lives in a way that's different than the rest of us. So mental health care for young New Zealanders is a really different thing to access than someone who's in a different position. Roads and public transport, they're always on there. Things like the justice system, things like getting a job or finding a rental property, things like that are things that only young people can speak to in terms of the experience of being young right now. And to give them the right to vote will mean that politicians will engage more effectively with their interests. The other thing is that's actually really, really important to the Make It 16 campaign and to my bill is that we know that if people register to vote, if they enroll, they are likely to become lifetime voters. But at the moment, young people kind of disperse. They go into trades, they go to uni, they might drop out of school at 16 or finish at 18. So we don't get them while they're all together as a group to learn about voting and to enroll. And that's a missed opportunity. So whether or not young people are going to vote Green, these are people that will continue to vote throughout their lifetime. And so, that is actually better for our democracy as a whole.
Gaurav Garaman, thank you for your time.
Thanks for yours.